I flew 3,000 miles to my sister's wedding and they told me I wasn't on the list, and I don't think I understood what that meant until that moment. I booked the flight 6 months ago. I paid for my own hotel. I bought a dress I stretched my budget for. And for 14 months, my younger sister, Vanessa Calloway Marsh, 29 years old, had been sending me wedding updates, asking my opinion on centerpieces, accepting my gift, letting me believe I was part of this day. I am Rena Calloway, 32 years old, living in Portland, Oregon, a professional wedding photographer. I photograph other people's most important days for a living. I flew to Charleston, South Carolina in my dress with my heart wide open. I walked up to the venue entrance. The staff member ran her finger down the clipboard once, twice. She looked up at me with an expression I will never forget. "I'm sorry, ma'am, there's no Rena Calloway here." I asked her to check again. She checked 3 times. My name was not there. I stepped away from the entrance and stood on the sidewalk in my dress, trying to breathe normally. I called my mother, Donna Calloway, 57 years old, the woman who had raised both of us, who knew everything about this family, who I trusted completely. The phone rang 4 times. When she picked up, her voice was already different, not surprised, not alarmed, braced. The way a voice sounds when it has been rehearsing this moment, I said, "Mom, I'm standing outside the venue. I am not on the list." The silence that followed lasted exactly long enough to confirm everything. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't say she would call Vanessa. She just said quietly, carefully, like she had decided this before I even landed, "Just go home, Rena. There's nothing you can do now." I did not go home. I walked across the street and sat on a bench and called my closest friend, Jordan Ellis, 34 years old, who worked in digital archiving and records management in Portland and who never panicked about anything. I told Jordan everything: the flight, the door, the list, Mom's voice. Jordan listened without a single interruption. While I was still talking, my phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. I read it out loud so Jordan could hear. It said, "I didn't think you'd actually show up, Rena. It's my day." Not sorry, not an explanation, just cold certainty that I should have known better than to come. She wasn't surprised I was hurt. She was annoyed I was there. 14 months of updates, a gift she accepted. 3,000 miles I travelled. And her response was, "You should have known you weren't wanted." Jordan went silent for 3 full seconds, then said, "Rena, you have your camera. Use it." Before I could respond, a staff member came outside politely, professionally. She had clearly been sent. She told me the bride had a message. I was welcome to watch the outdoor ceremony from the venue garden. There was a beautiful view of the arch from the bench near the roses. I found out later that Vanessa had given the staff specific instructions before the ceremony began. If a woman matching my description arrived, she was to be directed to the garden. She had planned for this. She had planned for me showing up and being turned away, and had prepared a place for me that was just close enough to feel like kindness, like it was a compromise I should be grateful for. I walked to that garden. I sat on that white bench in my dress 50 yards from the ceremony arch, completely alone, and I understood something I had been too trusting to see before. She had used 14 months of updates and questions and shared excitement to make sure I never suspected a thing. I opened my camera bag and stopped being her sister for a moment. Here is what people do not understand about professional wedding photographers. We see everything. We see what people don't think counts. The hired photographer moves where he is directed. He captures what was planned. But from that garden bench 50 yards away, completely invisible to everyone inside, I saw what no plan could contain. I saw Vanessa snap at her maid of honour over a flower that had moved 2 in sharp, fast smiles back on, before anyone important noticed. I saw the exact moment her expression shifted, when she thought no one was looking. Vanessa had always been careful about her image, who stood next to her, who she was seen with publicly. I had known that about her for years. I had just never thought it applied to me until that day. I was still shooting when my brother Derek Calloway, 35 years old, arrived late and took a wrong turn through the garden. He stopped when he saw me. He sat down and said, "She told me you weren't coming. She said you cancelled." Derek sat with me for 20 minutes without saying anything else. He didn't need to. We both understood what she said you cancelled meant. Vanessa had constructed a story and placed it carefully. Told Derek one thing, told the staff another, sent me that text like I was the problem for existing. No confrontation. No honesty, just quiet management of everyone around her. So the day looked exactly the way she needed it to look. Derek eventually went inside, but before he left, he looked at my camera and said, "Get everything, Rye." I did. I photographed Vanessa's new husband, Ryan Marsh, 31 years old, laughing easily with guests, completely relaxed, completely unaware that his new wife had deliberately removed her own sister's name from the guest list and then built a different story for everyone who might ask. Ryan looked genuinely happy. That was the most complicated photograph I took all day. By the time the reception ended, I had 412 photographs. None of them were what Vanessa had planned. The next morning I went back to the venue. Derek came with me. He hadn't slept. He kept saying, "She said you cancelled," like he was still trying to make the math work. The venue coordinator, Margaret, 58 years old, a woman who had managed over 400 weddings and kept records with a precision that came from knowing details always mattered eventually, recognized me the moment I walked in. She had been the one who sent the staff member outside with Vanessa's garden message. She looked at Derek, then at me, and something in her expression shifted. She asked us both to come inside. She opened a folder without being asked and slid a single sheet of paper toward me. It was the original submitted guest list. My name was there, Rena Calloway +1, clearly typed, then crossed out by hand in pen. Margaret looked at me and said quietly, "This was submitted with your name included. Someone changed it after. It wasn't an accident, it was a decision." Margaret made us a copy. Derek held it in both hands and read it 3 times without speaking. That night, Jordan helped me build a private online gallery. 412 photographs organised chronologically, unedited, unfiltered. Every real moment from that garden bench, every unguarded expression, every piece of that day that the hired photographer was directed away from the first image in the gallery was not a photograph. It was a scan of the crossed-out guest list, clean, clear, undeniable. My name, a pen line through it. Then Jordan helped me find the email addresses. Every family member, both sides. Vanessa's side, Ryan's side, his parents, his aunts, everyone who had been inside that venue. While I sat in the garden alone in my dress, I wrote one subject line: the wedding, what the official photographer didn't capture. No one was expecting to see me in that story. No captions, no explanations, just proof. I pressed send and put my phone face down on the hotel bed. The responses started within an hour. Family members I had never spoken to directly. Ryan's aunts, his cousins. All of them had received the gallery. All of them had opened it. Derek called me first, he said. Ryan's mother, Judith Marsh, 58 years old, a woman who had built her entire life around the belief that family meant showing up for each other without conditions, had gone completely still when she opened the first image. The crossed-out guest list, Rena Calloway, pen line through it. Judith had called a family dinner that same evening, both families, no excuses accepted. Derek said the room was quiet in a way that had weight to it. Vanessa tried to explain it as a venue miscommunication. Ryan looked at his wife with an expression Derek described as someone seeing a person clearly for the very first time. Then Judith looked at Vanessa across the table and said quietly, with no anger in her voice at all, "I would like to know whose hand crossed that name out." Vanessa had no answer for Judith's question. That didn't make everything worse. Ryan found out the full truth 3 days later, that Vanessa had told him Rena wasn't coming because she had personal issues. That she had told Derek I cancelled, that she had managed every conversation, every narrative, every person, so that no one would question why the sister who flew 3000 M was sitting in the garden. Ryan called me himself. He didn't make excuses for her. He just said, "I didn't know. I'm sorry you were there alone." That phone call meant more than any apology from Vanessa ever could. Derek stopped taking Vanessa's calls for 2 months. Not dramatically, just quietly. Mom called me and cried. I let her. Here is what I know now. The people who erase you are always more afraid of what you represent than they will ever say out loud. Showing up for yourself, even when someone has planned for you not to, is never the wrong choice. It always reveals something. If this story felt real, subscribe, like this video, and tell me in the comments. Has someone ever tried to remove you from a moment you deserved, and where are you watching from? She crossed my name out. I showed everyone what she was hiding.